This is Inspirational Women, a weekly series shining the spotlight on female trailblazers making a true difference in our community. Once again, here is Kate Daniels.
As we give more thought and attention to this coming year, maybe there's a new way we may want to connect with. Well, you may be prompted to think of one or a few special people. Amy Daughters started something great a decade ago, and ultimately she wrote about it in her book, Dear Dana. That time I went crazy and wrote all 580 of my Facebook friends a handwritten letter. Amy has an engaging and delightful way to tell us of the experiences. Amy Daughters, good morning, and thank you so greatly for being with us today.
Good morning, Kate. It is a pleasure to be here. I'm excited.
As am I. Isn't it exciting, or is it really shocking that here we are at the end of the year already? Where did the time go?
I know. It was a quick year, but I feel like a lot of stuff happened.
Oh, yes. And it still keeps on happening. And, it's up and down and all over the place. But I am trusting, I'm optimistic with our conversation that we're going to look at setting a good trend in this coming year it's going to be 2026. And that is based on your book, Dear Dana. That time I went crazy and wrote all 580 of my Facebook friends a handwritten letter. Phew, boy, that's a title. That's a heap of work too. 580 letters. So I'm sure the story is in the book, and we want people to get the book because your writing is so humorous and fun. But in the meantime, do tell us how you decided that you were going to write 580 letters.
Right. And this is a story that I didn't plan. It was so non-intentional on my part. And then I'd never planned to write a book about it. I never planned to talk about it. But it absolutely turned my life upside down in a very good way. And I like to tell the story that I was just minding my own business because I was. And I am a writer. And so I walked into it that way, but it's so relatable. I'm like everyone else. I get on Facebook one day and I thought of this friend I had from 35 years ago. I worked at a summer camp. I grew up at a summer camp in Texas, and I had spent about 6 weeks in the 80s with this other girl. And we were camp counselors, and we were both loud and thought we were funny. And so I guess that resonated with me. And I'd always wondered, I wonder whatever happened to Dana. So one day I'm on Facebook, that idea pops into my head. I type her name in, and voila, there she is, living her life in Louisiana. And I kind of heard what she was doing, but it had been 30 something years, but we had no contact in those 30 years, zero at all. And so I friend request her, she accepts. And since there's nothing we really have to do but look at each other's pictures, I guess maybe she remembered who I was. And so right away, I look through her life, and she has 5 kids. And so she's overachieved in that department. And she has 4 girls, and the youngest kid is the only boy, and his name is Parker. And right away, I found out that Parker has cancer. And it's serious enough that they're in Memphis, Tennessee at St. Jude. So it's got to be the kid's probably fighting for his life. So I start following along with this story as a mom, as a human being, I immediately was, it's the worst case scenario. So you watch, and she asked for people to pray, and I did that, but I never liked or commented on any of her stuff because I felt like it was very disingenuous, because here's this woman fighting with this kid for his life. Like, what am I going to say? Nothing, So I watch, I kind of felt myself overfeeling it. And then he goes into remission. They go back home. I'm like, great. I'm still following along with her on social media. But at the end of that year, she posts and says, the cancer's back. It was obviously not good. They're going back to Memphis. They're going to live in the Ronald McDonald House. Well, that next morning, I sat down at my desk to write, and it was like a lightning bolt hit me in the head. I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start sending them, because I felt like I should do something. I'm going to start sending them notes or cards to the Ronald McDonald House in Memphis and just say, I'm thinking about you. I'm praying for you. And I was so committed to it. And I knew it was kind of crazy because they didn't really know who I was. But so I started sending these notes every week. I put her on my writing schedule, and this goes on for about 10 to 14 weeks. And then, unthinkably, devastatingly, all the words, and had nothing to do with me, Parker passes away. He's only 15 years old, so he dies. And I'm like, so what do I do? It had nothing to do with me, but I was like, I can't just stop writing her. Like, I care about you. I'm thinking of you. I'm praying for you. And now nothing, silence. So I'm like, where do I send the letters? So I find her husband's law office address in Louisiana. So this is me being crazy again. And I just keep writing her because I can't just leave her hanging then. That's not right.
Yeah.
And if I didn't say that I thought every time I sat down to write her and I wrote her longer and longer letters, that I thought, what are you doing? What are you doing? This makes no sense. But I just kept writing her. So 4 to 5 months into writing her, and I was about to not give up, but I just didn't know what I was doing. She starts writing me back. And she sends the first letter is like a 10-page letter, talks about her grief, about her things I couldn't have known about her life, online. And we start exchanging these letters, and it leads to 2 years of us like basically writing each other every week. We don't email, we don't text, we don't Facebook message, we just write each other. We end up telling each other our entire life stories. It turns into this intimate relationship where we say stuff like, well, I've never told anybody this before, but I know I can trust you, because these exchange of, it was a profound interaction, because I didn't know when she was reading we didn't know when the letters were being read, and so you had this freedom to say whatever you wanted to say, and it was cathartic in a way that I never could have imagined. I got to know her in handwriting. It was completely different. So about 6 months into this, of writing her back and forth, I was like, you know what? If all this goodness can come from this one girl on this list of 600 people that I know to differing degrees from different parts of my life, what would happen if I wrote everyone? So I said, okay, well, I'll try to write everybody. I got stationery, I got a journal, I put everybody's names in a box. I start drawing these names out. I really thought I'd get to like 25 letters and be like, I'm good. But when I got to letter 25, I was like, this might be the most important thing I ever do in my life, because there was so many life-changing things that happened along the way, that I ended up spending 18 months and I wrote everyone, 580 people, a handwritten letter, and it just blew up my life.
18 months. So he has 25, a goal of possibly 25, ballooning to the 500, almost 600 people that you wrote to. Now, you and Dana had, I'm guessing, the deepest connection, the longest lasting. Not necessarily.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
And that relationship. And then I tell people all the time, because when I first approached the idea of writing a book, they were like, maybe it's 2 books. I was like, no, because you can't have the 600 letters don't happen without me figuring out the power of a handwritten letter with Dana. And so Dana and I are now best friends. I talk to her every day. She lives about 4 hours from me now, because I've moved since, and we see each other. If we go 2 months without seeing each other, we start to have withdrawals. It's the most fun relationship I've ever had. And she's done as much for me, and her family has done as much for me and my family as we've ever done from them. So yeah, it created this, and we have this incredible bond that I think it goes back to the letters. We're like sisters because of the letters.
Because you were able to really honestly connect at such a deep level, each of you really sharing your feelings without any kind of constraints.
Right. And that's the thing, I learned, and really the lesson of writing all the letters made me realize that, in this world of instantaneous communication, which is absolutely necessary, you and I would not be communicating this way without it.
Yes.
And I would not be friends with Dana in real life without social media. And I think that deserves a shout out, because it's a jump off point for real relationship. But there's this power we have with handwritten notes. It doesn't have to be letters. In the age of instantaneous communication, it takes older things like that and gives them a power that they didn't have at the time we first did them. But I learned over and over again, hundreds and hundreds of times, the letters meant so much to people. Yes, there was nice words in them. Yes, they were meaningful. But when people receive something like that in their mailbox, there's this magic moment that happens, Kate. And especially in 2025, 2026, because they hold that in their hand. First of all, it's non-intrusive. You're not asking for anything when you send them a note. When you send somebody a note, you're not asking them to text you back. You're not asking for anything, but they're holding in their hand what you held in their hand. And they're going to make this immediate it's going to click in their head what it took for you to do this. Like if you send me a letter, Kate had to sit down, Kate had to find a pen, Kate had to use her hand, which no one does anymore, and it's going to hurt probably afterwards. But where did you get the card? And then you had to have an envelope. Wait a second. Then you had to seal it. Then you had to find my address. And wait a second, where are the stamps? And then wait a second, you had to drive across town and find somewhere to drop this off. And so I have this moment in my hand where I hold this, and you're all of a sudden, and this is people's response. They're like, wait a second. In this world where everyone's kind of treated the same, this is how much I matter to another human being. I matter this much for this person to sacrifice time and resources just for me. And it blew people away over and over again. I was fascinated at how much just the act of receiving the note meant to people.
And so for you, when you started to receive notes back from Dana, what you've just described probably was this really kind of huge euphoric moment.
Oh, yeah, that first letter, I will never not refer to it as one of the greatest moments of my life. And still, I go out to my mailbox with such hope because I still write a note, at least one note every day, because it is my one good thing. It is the best version of myself. And it's a legitimate way I can spread hope and live the best version of myself.
So every day you are writing a note to one of these hundreds of connections you have on Facebook. Is that right?
Right. I still do it. And it's all a jump off point from what I learned from writing the 600 letters.
Have you added more friends? Has that?
Yeah, there had to be a cutoff, Kate, because people were friending me at the end because they wanted a letter. I was exhausted at the end of the letter writing project because it was emotionally exhausting too, because people were writing me back the whole time, and I felt bad if I didn't write them back because it just it was an exercise in relationships and connection, but also you cannot be friends like real life friends with that many people. And that was not an expectation I had, that I would feel guilty, because I did feel guilty on some level because I was opening all these doors of real connection. And there's no human being can keep up with that.
Right. Okay, so that's good for us. We don't have to go through that exercise. You've done that for us.
No, and I tell people all the time, there's two parts of the story that are unfortunate. One, it's the 600 letters. Like, that's ridiculous. Two, I'm a writer. You do not have to be a writer to write somebody a handwritten letter. And you don't have to use the word letter. Note is a super appropriate way to approach this. And it's a much more, it does not have to be done on that grand scale. And if you're somebody who writes 2 pages, then write 2 pages. But this can be done in 2 sentences, and this can be done in 5 minutes. And all you have to have is a human heart, and a sincerity about you to pull this off. It is a very simple thing to do. And there's just little investment to make someone literally change the trajectory of someone's week, month, year.
Right. And that's the kind of thing. This is really quite simple. As you said, it just can be 2 sentences, but that connection makes such, as we've seen with your experience, makes such a world of difference, and a deeper, long-lasting connection, reviving a friendship from decades ago.
Right. And yeah, I mean, and it spreads so much love and hope. And really the plot twist is the person who's the most changed is the person writing the notes, because you look around your life differently. You've changed the culture of your life without knowing it. I speak to businesses about this now, which if you would have told me at Letter 25, that's what I was going to be doing. It's applicable to any arena where there's 2 human beings who want to relate to each other better. And there's so many best practices, and it doesn't have to be overwhelming. But I will say this: you are going to feel vulnerable if you do this. You're going to feel like you're putting yourself out there, because I still feel that way, and I'm the most bought in person I know about it. But there's something about that vulnerability, because you're going to sit down and say something and put it in words permanently, and then send it to somebody. What are they even going to think about you if you do that? But there's something in that vulnerability that's part of the transaction that is felt by the other person. That's what makes it so, if you could jump over that vulnerability, then that's what makes it so special. I think that's one of the components of the meaningfulness of the receipt of the words.
And as you were saying that, I was thinking of how there is the beauty of that permanence, because with sending emails, those things just, unless you make copies of them, they just finally changed because, your provider has changed or whatever kind of thing. Here,
Right.
this is forever. It can be forever.
Right. And
Yeah.
and we, I grew up writing letters,
Mm.
and a lot of us have boxes of letters from our parents, from our grandparents that we've kept. But what you're doing is you're giving, no matter what context you write the note in, you're giving someone a gift like that. Because the number one response I got from the 600 letters is this: I will keep your letter in a special place for the rest of my life.
Mm.
We all have that power. And I tell people all the time, we all have this in our human toolkit. We had it when we started listening to this podcast today. You have it, I have it. We all have this power. We already had this little tool in our toolkit. I'm just the girl who gets to remind people about it. That's my job. And that's the way I see. And it is like, I want to sell books. I'm a small business person. I'm an author. But you know what I want to do more than anything, Kate? I want to spread this story. I want to tell people and I want to inspire people to maybe to be involved in this on whatever level it fits into their human experience.
Oh, Amy, that is truly so beautiful. And what a great and important message to instill in our own hearts and make some level of commitment to being this person, being part of making a change as we wind up this year. But we look forward to like this great openness ahead of us this whole year, and what we might do differently to affect others. But as you said, you're the person who then gets really changed.
Right. Right. No, and this is a perfect time to say, and anybody who's listening who's interested, to saying, and it's as simple as saying, I'm going to do it on Wednesdays. I'm going to do it on the 15th. I'm going to do it twice a month. And I guarantee you, if you make it, because really what got me with the letter writing, like at the beginning, I was all over the place. And then once it became a part of the fabric of my life, it's like exercise.
Mm.
Then I did it more and more and more. But anyone interested, if you just make a simple commitment to doing it once a week, once a month, you will see so many changes. I believe you will, when the work I've done, I've seen people, it starts to steamroll in your life. But it's as simple as saying, I'm going to go down to Target or Walmart and buy the smallest cards I can, a box of 12 of them. And I'm going to commit to writing 3 in January, but I'd put it on your calendar. And it's like 2 sentences. It's 2 sentences. And I guarantee you can think of something in 2 sentences, because it's as simple as you thinking of somebody and thinking, oh, I would like to say this to him. And you just don't get around to it. But if you do it, if you make a commitment to doing it, I have ideas about that too, then it's super easy to do. Buy 12 stamps and 12 cards and see what happens next.
Yes. Oh, and on the order of stamps, because my dad was a stamp collector, so I love beautiful stamps. That, you can choose special messages or, something that illustrates the month or what you think of different people by the kind, and especially the love stamps too, right?
Oh, right. And and I'm a huge fan of the post office now, because of my, what's happened. But yeah, and that's a whole nother expression itself. And, getting back in touch with your own handwriting. What I do, to write the notes that I write now every day is I have this journal right here at my desk, and I have tabs, and it's like, thank you, support, congrats, sympathy, other. And so when I see on Facebook or I hear in real life that someone has lost a parent, or someone has had a grandchild, or someone has gotten a promotion, or someone has engaged with me in some of the work I do, then I simply write their name in the journal. And so when I get up every morning, get to my desk, I have these note cards over here. Well, I just have to tab, and it's easy for me to find a reason to write someone a note. And it's so simple. But again, that's a best practice. You just write it down on a notepad. It doesn't have to be that, and then you know who you're going to write to. It just makes it simple.
Oh, yes. You've done so much of all this basic work for us to be able to easily make these connections and move forward within in our life.
Right.
That's perfect. But yes, you said you're a small business person, and this is a book. Not that you need to sell books, but I think here with Dear Dana, there is just this incredible story. And, I haven't been able to finish reading the book just yet because of all my books. But regardless, what I have read makes me just chuckle so often that I think that in itself is good medicine, and we owe it to ourselves. Your story is just so captivating.
Well, thank you. I'm really I feel like I'm a girl who got gifted with a great story, but I'm proud of the book because I do think the book, it is funny and there's a lot of hope in it. And I think that there's a lot of lessons about grief from Dana in the book,
Yes.
in her writing and our relationship. So I think the book is full of hope. It's a good read. It's a pretty quick read too. So I appreciate your kind words about it though. Yeah.
And so it's available, of course, at all of our favorite book sources. So check those out to get a copy. And maybe that is part of someone comes to mind that you think, oh, they need some inspiration. And it's just a thinking of you gift that you send along with a note. That's the beginning of it.
Right. Oh yeah. Well, of course I'm on board for that completely, and then I think the other great thing about the story of Dear Dana, outside of the letter writing is, I basically had an idea, the lightning bolt in the head, and I went with it. And I think there was a higher calling. I mean, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it for me, but I think it's a testament to these ideas we have, and I think that's another good thing about, the end of the year. We have ideas. All of us as human beings have these ideas that get implanted in our head. And a lot of times they sound ridiculous because they probably are. But I think the thing I'm proudest of as a story is it's a great story, a reminder that what if we believed our own crap just long enough to take one step forward? And maybe that's the real story here, is that maybe in 2026, all of us, including me, believe our own stuff just enough to take one step forward and cash in on one of our ideas.
Mm, that's really wonderful and so encouraging because it is doable. I mean, just think of one thing that we get that little nudge. I'm kind of with you. I like the word God wink, and I watch these. Well, they're actually the Hallmark shows that have these God
Oh
wink
yeah,
stories, and
right.
and they're wonderful. But I think that's not a movie. It happens in our life if we listen to those little promptings that we get.
Right. And that's what's possible.
Yeah.
That's what's possible. And it is real. And my story is a testament to that. But it doesn't have to, I mean, a lot of it's small things that seem small and then they turn into something that, because the best part of the whole thing is it changed my life. I'm a different person because of it. Like,
Yes.
yes, books, talks, podcasts, that's all great. But the thing, I'm living a different life because I followed that God wink, that
Oh,
intuition,
yeah.
and I have a best friend that rivals any best friend anyone can have,
Oh, yes. Yeah. So beautiful. And so then I'm curious. You mentioned how you are speaking with businesses in terms of this. It's important what we do for ourselves personally and grow these relationships. So how do you approach it in the business realm?
Well, it's funny, Kate, because I didn't see that aspect of it until I started doing podcasts. And I had a real estate group ask me to come on their podcast, like some real estate, this guy speaks to real estate agents. He's like a coach. And they wanted to talk to me about handwritten notes, using it in referral-based businesses.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, wait a second. And I was already doing the inspirational speech. And then I had someone, like I started doing a bunch of leadership podcasts. And I realized, wait a second, this really is applicable anywhere. So I have a speech for referral-based businesses, and I have a speech about organizational culture, where you basically use this within the walls as a leadership tool, yes, but within the walls of an organization to improve corporate culture, which, employee engagement, which is, in the dumpster fire. I have a business degree, so this kind of worked out well. But anyway, really any place where two humans are communicating, it can improve culture, referral based business. I mean, so those are things I speak about in the business realm. But if you would have told me that at letter number 25, I would never have believed you in a million years. And I'm so lucky because I'm so passionate about it. And I could speak to anyone about it probably.
Yes, because in your sharing it, what you just did, it's like, oh yes, of course, it so makes sense that it's applicable anywhere and everywhere. And the other part of it is, as you said, if you at letter 25, you could never imagine it. But what that means is we have to start and just trust that intuition moving forward. Then when we look back, we see, oh my gosh, look at that mountain that we did climb.
Right. And that's it. And that's why I think it's so important. I think that message is so important to everyone because we all, there's an idea we have that no one else has. I'm convinced of that,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
and that we can provide something that no one else can provide, and then that's what I like is because this moves the needle and hope in any arena where there's people relating, especially in our divisive culture. I mean, this is such a tool, to combat so many things that we are suffering as a human culture. And that's why I think people trusting their ideas is so important because we're not siloed, we're not alone, and people need other people. And whatever frame that is in your head, it's important to share it.
Mm. Oh, yes, absolutely. All of that. You know, I'm glad it's recorded because we can go back and listen to it over again. Yes, 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 Amy, that fits so much our life right now and how then we can take this and really make a difference. As you say, you're a changed person. You never would have been this if you hadn't started. What was it, about 15 years ago? Or, well,
Right.
about 10 years ago.
Well, it was 10
Yeah,
years ago.
yeah.
Yeah. And it was sitting down and I remember writing her for the first time thinking, she is struggling with her to save her child's life, and I'm going to send her a note.
Hmm.
And I'll tell you a quick, great story about that. Dana and I ended up on the Kelly Clarkson show together telling our story. And she was telling Kelly Clarkson, she was like, my family and I waited for those letters every week because they always came about the same time. Because like I said, I had her on my writing schedule. She said, we would wait for those letters. We would wait for them to come. And Kate, as I was writing those letters, I kept telling myself after Parker passed away, what am I doing? This is ridiculous and stupid because these people lost their kid. And I'm talking about my feelings and trying to be funny in these letters. And on the other end of the transaction, these people were holding on to these letters. And I remember looking at her, hoping I didn't have my mouth open on that show because I was like, this really happened.
Hmm. Yes.
Wow.
Yes, exactly. So thank God that you did trust your
Right.
intuition because
Yeah.
of what a difference it made without you knowing it. And that's what we need to think about is, to follow that and trust that good things are happening on the other end.
When there's so much hope in that. And I think that's why, we're absolutely have the deck stacked against us as human beings right now. But any drop of goodness we throw into the ocean right now, we just don't know how much good that's going to do. And we need to encourage each other to be like, let's go, because, everyone can tell us it's not going to make a difference. Everyone can tell us it's not going to make a difference, but that's not the truth.
Yeah.
That is not the truth.
Right. There you go. You super cheerleader is who you are, Amy Daughters.
I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. I just look good in the cheerleader outfit, Kate. Let's all be honest with each other.
There you go.
Maybe not. That's alarming.
See, there's where your humor comes through. You were just really so delightful. I really appreciate you. Let's mention your website because we do want people to be able to make connections and find out more information.
Yeah, it's just amydaughters.com. And that's all the information, including my address. If you want to send me a note, I'll write you back. If you want me to be first, but my email, and if we've spoke about anything and I love connecting with people. So if you've heard something you're interested in, please reach out to me, email, social media, whatever. And I'd love to discuss the hope or whatever your idea is further.
Oh, wonderful. And we can totally trust that because we know that you are committed to letter writing and you love to connect with people. So what a great invitation that is to all of us. So this has been wonderful. What a way to wrap up a morning for me. What a way to wrap up the year with such an inspiring conversation. I so appreciate you, Amy Daughters.
Thank you very much, Kate.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here this morning to meet these special guests and their great messages about doing something a little different. It's so healthy and invigorating. Please check the station's website for the podcasts for more information about these guests, and please share the stories with your family and friends. I'm Kate Daniels. If you'd like to connect with me, simply send me an email, katedaniels@hubbardradio.com. And now it's time to say, I wish you great growth and experiences as 2026 rolls in.
Thank you for listening to Inspirational Women. Tune in every Sunday morning at this time to hear about those truly empowering the Northwest community, all for the greater good. Sunday Morning Magazine and Inspirational Women are a public service of Hubbard Radio Seattle.